Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. An intriguing post-Christmas bowl game will be taking place in Shreveport as Louisiana Tech takes on Miami in the Independence Bowl. Two programs that had two very opposite seasons, as the Bulldogs finished the season 9-3, while Miami had a very disappointing 6-6 season under first-year head coach Manny Diaz. And we'll start with the Bulldogs here, who, when they play in Shreveport, will practically have a home game. Shreveport just about an hour away from Louisiana Tech's campus in Ruston. So this is a huge advantage for the Bulldogs that, yes, Miami fans do travel well, but something that Miami certainly will not have. And once again, 9-3 this season for Louisiana Tech. Another phenomenal job well done from Skip Holtz in his 7th year with the Bulldogs, winning 9 games for the 4th time in 6 years. So, fantastic job. Once again, proving why Louisiana Tech is still one of the top dogs and one of the best teams to beat in the entire Conference USA. For Miami, we mentioned it was a very disappointing season for Manny Diaz. And the major thing that stood out to me for Miami is just the inconsistency. Very inconsistent play from the Hurricanes. You look at a team like this, and way back in week 0, they nearly beat Florida, who at the time was a top 10 team, still is a top 10 team. The Hurricanes still found a way to beat Virginia, Louisville, and Pittsburgh, solid teams within their conference in the ACC. But then they found ways to close the season with losses to Florida International, Duke, and then earlier in the year, Georgia Tech. So you have to wonder which Miami team is going to show up after Christmas. Which team is going to show up for this Independence Bowl? Is it going to be the team that annihilated Louisville? The team that went on the road and defeated Pittsburgh? The team that was able to beat Virginia, who ended up winning the Coastal? Or is it going to be a team that lost to another Conference USA opponent in Florida International? And lost to Duke to close out the season, who did not make the postseason. Same for Georgia Tech. You do wonder that, and you wonder the motivation factor as well going into a game like this. When you look at the offensive side of the ball for Louisiana Tech and for Miami, it's no doubt that the Bulldogs are more experienced and more dynamic on the offensive side of the ball. They're averaging 34 points per game and have a senior quarterback in Jamar Smith, who has over 2,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. Now keep this in mind, he was suspended for 2 games earlier this season. The Bulldogs lost those 2 games. So when he is there, when he is starting for Louisiana Tech, they have proven to be one of the better teams in the Conference USA and maybe up there as one of the better teams in the group of 5. So the fact that he will be playing in this Independence Bowl, unless something crazy happens in the next few days, is something that's very positive for Skip Holtz and this Bulldogs team. They also have a great running back in Justin Henderson, who has 967 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns on the year. Louisiana Tech as a whole rushes for 167.9 rushing yards per game. And that's a number we're going to come back to here in a little bit. Something you got to keep in mind, because that's Justin Henderson's numbers, but it's also Jamar Smith's numbers as well, because he is a little bit of a dual threat quarterback. And that just gives this Bulldogs offense a whole nother dimension going up against what's usually a fairly solid Manny Diaz defense. For Miami, just like the team as a whole, their offense has struggled and been inconsistent. They are led by a freshman quarterback in Jaron Williams, and we knew, back when the season began, back in week 0 when they faced off against Florida, we knew it was going to be a bit of a struggle for Williams to get going. He struggled with ball security against the Gators. He struggled with taking care of the football, and that has been evident over the remainder of the season. But he also showed a lot of poise in his first ever career start, his first ever college football game against one of the better defenses out of the SEC. Williams finished the year with 2,093 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. So not a bad mark at all for a freshman quarterback. He just has to do better with his pocket awareness and better with taking care of the football. But like Miami's team as a whole, you wonder which performance and which quarterback you're going to get out of Jarren Williams? Is he going to be the guy that threw for 6 touchdowns over Louisville? Keep in mind, Louisville, a very good team this year, led by Scott Satterfield, a team that went 2-10 in 2018. Scott Satterfield having him playing a bowl game later on in December. So a phenomenal turnaround, one of the greatest turnarounds in college football this season. So you're going to get that type of performance from Williams, or you're going to get the performance that he had against Florida International, where he threw for 3 interceptions in that 30-24 loss against the Panthers. A shocking and stunning upset for this Hurricanes football program. They do average 27.8 points per game, so not a huge difference in averaging of points per game between Louisiana Tech and Miami. And they're fairly balanced as well. 257.2 passing yards per game, 121.8 rushing yards per game for the Hurricanes. So they're going to rely more on Jarren Williams. That's how they're going to be able to win this game. But he's got to show up. He's got to perform well. They need the Virginia-looking quarterback from Jarren Williams. They need the performance that he had against Louisville. That's what they need in this Independence Bowl. When you look at the defensive side of the ball, it's a strength for both teams. And that's to be expected, certainly, from Manny Diaz in Miami. They're allowing just 20.8 points per game. Not bad at all, guys. If you can hold, I don't care which conference you're in, people bash the ACC all the time as being one of the worst conferences in college football. And I'm not going to lie, it is. But 20.8 points per game, I don't care who you're playing against, is pretty impressive for the course of an entire season. They also are allowing just 109.7 rushing yards per game. And I said we were going to come back to that number earlier. Louisiana Tech averaging nearly 168 rushing yards per game. Miami only allowing 109.7. So something's got to give there. And if Miami can really take away that Louisiana Tech rushing attack and make the Bulldogs one-dimensional, that's going to go a long way in maybe getting Manny Diaz a crucial bowl victory. So that rushing defense for Miami played stout all season long, but can they do it against a dominant running back from Louisiana Tech and a dominant rushing quarterback as well? For the Bulldogs, they're just slightly worse than Miami defensively, but not by much, allowing just 23.7 points per game. And listen to this, guys, a cornerback for Louisiana Tech you may or may not have heard of, Amik Robertson, one of the greatest quarterbacks in all of the Conference USA. 5 interceptions this season, 16 passes broken up, and 8 tackles for a loss. So he is going to, in my opinion, wreak havoc in this Independence Bowl, and that's something that Manny Diaz and his staff have to be prepared for, and something that Jarren Williams has to be prepared for as well. I would like to put money down that Robertson is going to get at least 1 interception in this game. Expect him to have a solid outing against a Miami offense that has struggled for the majority of the season, something that you thought was going to improve this year, especially, they struggled under Mark Richt. Manny Diaz comes in. He brings in Dan Enos, a very respected offensive coordinator in the entire college football world, and they really have not thrived as much as I thought they were going to. But I think they can get to that point maybe as soon as next year. Some of the keys for this game. The first one, can Louisiana Tech pass consistently against Miami? Can they get a full 60 minutes from Jamar Smith in this passing attack from Louisiana Tech? They've played well all season long. But listen to this stat here. Miami has allowed over 200 passing yards from an opponent just 3 times in ACC play. So over the course of this entire season, every conference game they've played, they've only allowed 200 passing yards or more 3 times. And the Hurricanes are 2-1 in those games. So that's extremely impressive. They can hold Jamar Smith to under 200 passing yards, force a couple 3-and-outs, some short drives from the Bulldogs, and make them rely more on that running game, which could get shut down by a stiff rushing defense. Could be a long day offensively for Louisiana Tech. That's a storyline you do want to follow. And then secondly, can Miami sustain effective drives? Can they move the ball? Can they move it effectively? They've not been that impressive offensively. Can they do it against a very strong Louisiana Tech defense, one of the better ones in the Conference USA? That's what we're looking for here. Can the offense finally find some momentum? Can they finally start clicking? They couldn't do it against Florida International. They couldn't do it against Duke in the season finale. Can maybe something change in this Independence Bowl with many weeks to prepare for this one? So who's going to win the game down in Shreveport? We know that Louisiana Tech is going to have a slight home field advantage, only an hour away from campus. So they've got that going for them. That's great. But is it going to be enough to beat the U? I mean, come on. This is Miami that we were talking about here. And I'm going to say yes. I know my Miami fans out there are not going to be happy to hear it, but we are picking Louisiana Tech in this game to pull off the upset in Shreveport. And here's our reasoning here. Louisiana Tech has won 5 straight bowl games. Skip Holtz has his team ready to go for the postseason. And as do most Group of 5 schools. They are ready. This is a big opportunity for them and a big opportunity to be a solid Miami team. You know, a 6-6 Miami team, yes, but still a team out of the Power 5 and a historic one at that. They've won 5 straight bowl games by an average of 19.4 points per game. That's a pretty large margin. I'm not saying Louisiana Tech's going to blow out Miami. No, I'm not saying that at all. But that does kind of tell me something for the way Louisiana Tech performs in the postseason under Skip Holtz. On the other side, Miami is 1-4 in their past 5 bowl games. That includes back-to-back losses to Wisconsin 2 years ago in the Orange Bowl, and last year a 35-3 loss in the Pinstripe Bowl. And that's just unacceptable. That's just unacceptable. 35-3 to Jonathan Taylor and the Badgers. This game, this Independence Bowl, definitely, whether you want to believe it or not, definitely is going to mean more for Louisiana Tech. It's definitely going to mean more for the Bulldogs. And I think they come in there. I think they start fast. I think Miami kind of is taken aback, very similar to what happened in this Florida International game. And for the second time this season, Miami will fall to a Conference USA opponent. And Louisiana Tech will clinch their first 10-win season at the FBS level. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and check out everything we have for you in the description below. Spread picks for this game, this Independence Bowl, over at thegridironexpert.com, as well as spread picks for every other bowl game prediction we are doing this season. College football content and offers also in the description below, so do not miss out on that. And as always, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.